Okay, welcome back, everybody. I haven't been available for a little while. I have been very busy with work, but you got to make time for fun, so that's what I did. Um, I'm on my mobile headphones because I'm going to be moving around a lot because holy shit, Disney fucking nailed it. The writers, the directors, everybody who put this amazing masterpiece that is Andor together, I salute you. This is what Star Wars is supposed to be. This is what entertainment is. This is TV that is worth watching. I was, originally, just like everyone else, was impressed by Rogue One, right? It had kind of a Empire Strikes Back kind of vibe to it, right? It ended on a down note. It had, it was tough to watch. It was heroes getting shot to pieces, and spoiler alert, yeah, all the heroes die. If you haven't seen um, Brain Fart Rogue One by now, go watch it. Stop what you're doing, drop everything. It's just not a baby, right? Just put the baby in a crib and go watch it right now. Because Rogue One, you know what? Actually, don't watch Andor first, and then watch Rogue One, because then it can. What's the word? Contextualizes. Is that the right word? It builds it up so much more. Like I kept hearing people saying, "Oh, Andor's so good. Andor's so good, so good. Oh, you should go watch it." Blah blah blah. And I was still pissed about the Mandalorian season 3 and Boba Fett. I didn't want to give Disney any of my money anymore. Like I was like, I'm never giving them any more money. Blah 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 blah. I was really mad at what they did with the Mandalorian. They started off like, remember, this came out in COVID, right? Everybody's depressed. People thinking the world's going to end. Everybody's getting fat, turning into alcoholics. People are buying and selling stocks. People are trying to work at home. Kids grew up with like weird social problems because they were stuck at home. Like, how do you even do that? If you have a little kid and they're like, no, the kid can't go to school, it's like, what do you do with them? Well, you can't put them in a daycare because then that's a group of kids too. And then, whatever. My heart goes out to parents that had to deal with that. That was just a mess that our government did not help us with very much. To be completely honest, we were not helped as much as we should have been for the amount of money that we pay in Canada for taxes. Jesus. Anyways, so back on track. Andor is amazing. I am probably one of the most critical people there is when it comes to shows and movies, not just because I have a particular thing that I watch. I watch different kinds of movies, not all kinds of different kinds of movies, but if it's good, I know. Like I think everybody knows if it's a good show, if it's a good movie, even if it's not your thing, you'll still watch it, right? Like for example, Breaking Bad. Everybody loved Breaking Bad. I didn't like it. I didn't like the whole thing that he was ruining everyone else's life to try and keep a bit of money for his family, right? And this might be unpopular. I don't give a shit. Um, and then that, but it showed how selfish he was, how narcissistic, that he was just concerned about him and his own family, that he didn't care about ruining everyone else's life around him. Right. So that is technically part of the show. I just didn't like it. Right. A lot of other people did. But let's pull it back to Star Wars. What did I like? Maybe we should start with that. 4, 5, and 6, of course. Could they have been better? Yes. Did George Lucas break ground on a totally different genre of like space westerns and the hero's journey and everything? Yes, he did. Did he do something that no one else in the history of humanity has ever done? Yes, he did. He created a universe of just amazing things. And, the unfortunate other side of that is, that's a lot to live up to. So we had a lot of other shows. We had some hits and misses. We mentioned The Mandalorian. COVID, simple, like I just wanted something simple that I could look forward to after the end of the week because everything sucked during COVID. Everything sucked, right? Constantly hearing about this thing and that thing, and oh, there's all these, more people are infected. Oh, there's a new mutation. Remember all that shit? And then it's like, oh, you find out one of your friends died. It's like, oh my God. It's like, oh, I can't even really go to the funeral, right? Because I don't know if people are going to have COVID and then I'm going to get COVID again, right? We get the stupid shots. I don't know if they're legit or not, but I know that my finger twitches now. It never did that before. And I know that there's some other physical changes. Anyways, that's a whole other discussion. But we're talking about Andor. So, Star Wars 4, 5, and 6, decent. 1, 2, and 3 episodes that came out, those came out when I was in high school. And I was kind of hit or miss on them. Everybody was annoyed by Jar Jar Binks, right? And they're like, oh, he's a Dark Jedi. He's a distraction, everything else. No one's gonna put up with his shit. No one. All right. Oh well, what they saved his life, and now he's just allowed to go with them wherever they are. They're fucking Jedi, man. And they got this fucking idiot goober screwing things up all over the place. No, that whole thing. They could have just gotten rid of Jar Jar Binks, and the movie still would have made sense. Probably would have been better. Nothing against the actor. For what he was doing, he did an amazing job. Playing a goofy whatever. Yeah. Anyways, but Andor, I think, is peak Star Wars. I think it is actually peak Star Wars. It's so fucking good. There's character development. All right. See, okay. Well, first of all, a lot of these movies, I was just getting into a bit of an argument with some YouTuber about the movie Prey, Prey, right, from the Predator franchise. Oh, it looks good. It's like this. It's like that. No, the writing is horrible. The girl is a Mary Sue. She goes from not knowing how to fight one day, waking up the next day, and being the best fighter that has ever been seen in the world, and can take like massive, unbelievable amounts of damage and shrug it off. It's like what happened to her? Right? It's not believable. Right? I'm asking myself, how can she take a hit better than like Mike Tyson or any of these boxers or MMA fighters? These Yagua, is that the right way to say it? I don't know. They're like 7 feet tall and they're ripped. Okay, they're gonna punch right through her dumb little head. So no, it's not gonna work. So, anyways, Andor, we start off. Spoiler alert: you don't like it? Tough. Go watch the fucking show. It starts off, and he's like this misguided scumbag kind of guy, right? Like he's just there, and he's there on some rainy ass planet looking for his sister. It's all pipe dream. He doesn't know if he's gonna find her, right? And he's going to seedy places, and there's some corporate guys that he mixes it up with. They're being assholes. They're being drunken assholes. They're looking for a fight. They got power. They want to throw it around. They're in a bar they're not supposed to be in. They're ordering drinks when they're on duty. They're having fun time with the girls or whatever they're doing. They're not supposed to be doing that. They're doing everything wrong. And some idiots, when they're doing stuff wrong, they push their luck. Why? Because they want to get caught. They want somebody to smack them down and show them that what they're doing is wrong, and they're gonna whatever, or they're just complete assholes and they're just gonna push it until somebody gets killed, which is what happens. Who gets killed? They do, right? And that triggers the whole thing, and it shows, right? He like Andor's there fighting. He headbutts the one guy or whatever, hits him, and the guy dies, right? Which can happen in a street brawl. People have died. I know a guy who died in the street brawl because he was hit wrong or he fell wrong. and he broke his neck. Friend of a friend. And it's like, what? Like that happens. It's very rare, but it can happen. Anyways, so Andor gets a hold of the pistol, and he's like, what the hell do I do now? Right? And the guy's like, oh, it was a mistake. Oh, yeah, we'll be buddies. Oh, I'll help you out. Oh, and then Andor correctly realizes that this guy's full of shit. 5 minutes ago, he was ready to like take all of his money and grape him and do whatever he was going to do to him. I don't know, grape without the G, obviously. So, or do whatever he wanted to Andor, and Andor, you know, realizes in the heat of the moment, yeah, that guy's going to go back on his word in a second. So what does Andor have to do? That's what he has to do. He's got to shoot him. At least that's the way he looks at it, right? And you can see the look on his face, like he's searching. What the hell do I do? What the hell? Fuck it, right? And he shoots him. That's why you don't get in street fights because things can escalate. I've been in a few street fights myself. Shit can go crazy. Guns and knives and stuff get pulled out real fast sometimes. So don't get into fights, kids. Be good. So, and that sets him off on a whole thing. He goes home. You know, he was stealing or borrowing a ship, trying to find his sister because he wants to find his sister. He didn't know what the hell happened to her because he was rescued as a kid by these people who were scavengers, and they got him off of there. But realistically, his sister's dead. Right? There was some kind of thing, medical thing, and they just wiped out the whole planet. And they say it was Republic in one part, and they say it was Empire in another. And I don't know if I'm remembering it wrong, or if they screwed up in the writing, or if that was just the characters saying what they thought it was. But the people that were there in the beginning that were like shooting at the kids and stuff, they seemed like Empire to me. They didn't seem like Alliance because he was younger, right? So this is years ago. So just keep that in mind. But he would have that would have had to have been Alliance. Was that Empire? Because the Empire was only around. I don't know. It could have been Empire. We'll just say it was Empire. It makes more sense. So they're the space Nazis, right? So they're the bad guys. Anyway, so the story goes from there, and he meets all these people, right? Can I? Do you guys see my mouse? Yeah, you do. So we have Mon Mothma, who is the political aspect of the rebellion, right? She's trying to keep things together. She's trying to point out, hey, the Senator Palpatine or the Empire or the Emperor, yeah, I can't talk. He's a bad guy. He's doing bad stuff. You guys need to wise up. And typical, you know, cowards. They were like, oh, I don't want to get involved. Do it right because some people are like that. They don't want to get involved. They don't want to stand up. They don't want to do the right thing. They just want to collect their money and let bad things happen. Right? Why do bad things happen? Because good people let bad things happen. That's why. So she's standing up, right? And with the whatever political stuff that's been going on, especially like with the accolade and everything with feminism and LGBTQ and everything like that, and then them turning that into a mechanism for show, saying, "Oh yeah, strong women, whatever." They fucked the whole thing up. The Acolyte was a complete shit show. It was garbage. I like suffered watching every episode. I think I got like 3 or 4 episodes in. I'm like, I can't watch this. I'm getting physically angry at how stupid it is. 0 out of 10. Well, maybe one because things looked like Star Wars. That's it. One because it looked like Star Wars, but it wasn't. Kids, it was fake. It was an illusion. See, Mon Mothma, she's a strong woman. She's fighting for what she believes in. Does she throw in that she's part of the Rainbow Crew? No. Does she throw in that she has girl power and she's a boss bitch? No. She just does the thing. Her actions speak louder than her words, man. They always do. She stood up. She spoke out. She was doing actions. She was The visual side of the rebellion, while Luthen Rael was the covert side, right? A broken sergeant for the probably the Empire's infantry, who on a particularly bad day of horrible genocidal killing wanted to do something different, and he found this little girl who he protected over here, and they became partners in crime, quite literally. So they're fighting crime with crime against the Empire, because the Empire is criminal, but it's like an organized criminal. So what did they do? They were chaotic criminals, right? Rebellion. What do they say? Asymmetrical warfare, guerrilla tactics, all that stuff. So they set that all up. And he's kind of like a James Bond guy. He has like different personas, even more than James Bond. Because James Bond just goes around, I'm Bond, James Bond. Look at how handsome and rich and fit I am, right? And it's like, yeah, everybody wants to be James Bond, right? Who wouldn't? Why wouldn't you want to be like that? Why wouldn't you want to like get shot and be like, oh, it's just a flesh wound, don't worry, it'll be fine, And you're just like nothing bothers you. That'd be great. But he's kind of like that, but things start to get at him, right? But then we have this guy, Cyril, right in the blue over here. He is a security guard on the home planet of Andor, and he catches wind of, was he on the home planet or man? No, he was on the planet where the guard got shot, where Andor went, the other planet, right? And he's like, some of our guys got fucking killed, boss. And his boss is like, well, they weren't where they were supposed to be. They were probably getting in trouble. It was probably their fault, so we're not going to pursue it. Which, in the grand scheme of things, probably would have been the wisest course because both of them were dickheads. Both of those guards were dickheads and they were asking for it. The one guy was worse than the other one. The one was feeding the one guy, and the other guy was picking up everything he was putting down, and he was getting high on himself, and he was gonna. They were trying to rob Andor, right? That's what they were doing. They're trying to hustle, like what's it called? Shake him down, yeah. So Cyril is like, you can't kill us. So he had what's the word? Righteous. He was very righteous. He felt justified in doing whatever he needed to do, ignoring his superior officer's commands. No, we're gonna find the murderers, right? Why? Because Cyril doesn't want to get fucking murdered. He's like, maybe I'll be the next one who gets murdered. Maybe that's what he was thinking, right? And then when you meet his mom and they go through the whole thing, yeah, you start to understand why. Because like this is all he has. His mom is a giant pain in the ass. He has nothing else really. It's just his job is everything. And I kind of understand that because I'm very work oriented myself. A lot of who I am is about my work. So I understand that aspect, but he goes really far overboard. I've I've had to go over my supervisor's heads a few times myself, and I've gotten people in trouble for like violating safety. There was a situation I had to step in, or people were going to fucking die, and my supervisor didn't want to get involved. So I'm like, okay, fuck you. I'm going over your head, and then I did, and he got fired. I went over his head to his boss, and his boss is like, "Didn't you tell the supervisor?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "What did he say?" I'm like, "He said ignore it." And he's like, "Ooh, okay." Right? So they did what they had to do. Hundreds of people are still breathing because I did that. I'm fucking proud of that shit. Right? So I understand Cyril. I understand he doesn't want anyone else to die. Right? Because you can't go back from that. If they're dead, they're dead. Dead men tell no tales, and dead men cannot learn from their mistakes. So I understand why Cyril is doing that. And that leads to one of the biggest things about this fucking show is you understand the motivations of every single one of these characters in the whole show. You understand them. They make sense. They say, "Hey, I'm going to do this." And then when they don't do that, you go, "Oh, they're one of those people. They say shit and they don't do it." And there's a bunch of them along the way, and a lot of them get smoked. Here's Deirdre, I think her name is. She's the resting bitch face ISB officer. She's like the, SS. She's like the worst of the space Nazis, right? And she's got a bone to pick. And she's just like she's Empire programmed from the beginning. She was raised by the Empire. Her parents were criminals. She was like what do you call it? Orphaned, right? And then and then she was raised in an Empire Kinderblock or whatever the hell that is. Does not sound very fun. It's probably some really fucked up situation, and that's why she's fucked up. So she's just all about doing the biggest thing, getting the most power. She's power hungry. She's narcissistic, and that's something that she kind of shares with Cyril. Cyril is narcissistic, and he's righteous, and he's a team player. Like he wants to work with his team, but he's very inexperienced too. He's very green. She's kind of green too, but she's also kind of a supervisor too. Like she knows her shit, but she steps over the line a lot. And then we have Bix, super hot, but she's an awesome character. She's not just there for her looks. She's not just there as like, oh, look at me, I'm wearing the sexy thing to make sure everyone's happy with the show. No, she's a really good character. She gives Cassian shit for running around, right? She helps him out because they're pals or whatever they are, right? Like she grudgingly helps him. And they have a whole network of friends that just start getting picked off one at a time through the whole story. They start losing friends. Shit, like a bunch of the people on here are dead at the end of the fucking show. If you haven't gotten through, I won't tell you which ones, but they're going through this chick, right? Cousin to Mon Mothma. And then this chick, sorry, I forget their names. Whatever. Her name, Cinta? I think her name was Cinta. I forget what her name is. She's just a cold blooded fucking assassin infiltrator working directly for Luthen. She goes and does the stuff that nobody else can do. She's just cold, 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 man. She's like a sociopathic serial killer type crazy bitch. And she's just out there smoking who needs to be smoked, man. Like she's dangerous. And they're like, oh yeah, she's the medic. Whatever. It's like she's a medic too. So she's super skilled, super dangerous. She's quite attractive too, which helps her blend in because she can radically change her appearance. That's the other thing. She's very good at changing her appearance and how she looks. And then these two are kind of like girlfriend and girlfriend. And then you think, well, maybe she's just a girlfriend with her to bring her into the alliance. And then maybe as a failsafe in case Mon Mothma betrays Luthen. And then Luthen's like, Cinta to, hold her hostage. But she's a part of the revolution too, but she needs a push. Cinta and Luthen keep pushing her, like, oh yeah, you keep talking about it, why don't you go do it? So they push her into it. This is the girl that Luthen saved when she was a kid. Now, like, partner in crime, all in, saw her parents get smoked by the Empire. She's all in to bring the Empire down, right? Also, very organized, very, very helpful infiltrator, you know, unbelievable acting. And then you got the goofy little droid. And most of the time with the latest movies, they have like BB-8 or whatever it was so annoying. It was like, oh, look at me, I'm cute. Oh, I'm such a cute little droid, and I'm just like, shut up. All right, yes, I'm a grumpy old man. I did watch, Star Wars. I watched Star Wars when it first came out on TV. Yes, we did record it on VHS. Yes, we did watch the VHS repeatedly until the tapes broke and we had to record them again, and then we broke the tapes again from watching them so many times. Like I would watch at least one of the movies. I think it was every weekend. I would wake up. I was a crazy kid. I'd wake up at like 4 or 5 in the morning every day, especially on the weekend because it was cartoons, right? Some really good cartoons on early. I'd grab my Legos and then I'd quietly pour them out, and then I'd make like speeders and starships and shit and watch Star Wars like just about every weekend. So I watched episodes 4, 5, and 6. I don't even know how many times. It's probably 100 times, and I don't even think I'm exaggerating. I've watched them so many times. I love the movies. So just keep that in mind. So the robot, yeah, I was talking about the robot. The robot makes sense. He's like he's like a little helper robot. He helps them with things. He passes messages, you know, because who knows where they are, right? Who knows where people are? Oh, go. Can you go find Bix and tell her blah blah blah? Okay, and then it's if he can't go out and talk to her, he can send the little droid, and the droid is owned by his adoptive parents. Well, just his adoptive mom now, because his adoptive dad was like hung by the Empire for some reason. I think so. You're like shit, you know. Andor has a reason to hate the Empire. They all do. All of them have a reason to hate the Empire. Even Deirdre and Ciro, really. Because what happens when things escalate? The Empire steps up and takes over. What was it, Ferrix? Where Andor's from? I don't know. Double check that. But and then things just escalate, and it shows the escalation on both sides, and it shows it accurately. It shows it really fucking well. And then you have the complete nut job that is what's his name? I just had it. Saw Gerrera. He's nuts. Wait, Che Guerrera? Che. Anyways, he's wasn't there a guy in Cuba or something that whatever. Saw Gerrera is freaking nuts, and we find out why. He sniffs gas. He's a gas sniffer, like starship fuel or something like that. He smells it, and it's supposed to like screw you up, and he's like, yeah, I like the smell. He's fucked. He's like a drug addict. He's an action addict. He's adrenaline addict. But the other thing is he's got fucking money. He's a criminal. He has a gang. He has ships. He has heavily armored. He has a small army of heavily armored, cybered up dudes, right? And there's all these different factions that Luthen Real is tying together. That's the big thing that Luthen Real is doing. He's bringing them together. He's coordinating their actions. That's probably, aside from recruitment, one of the biggest things he's doing is he's recruiting, he's coordinating, and he has the master plan to move them in in a unified direction. He's not just moving them in a unified direction; he is creating that unified direction. It's a difference, right? So he's got a plan and the leadership and the coordination, and he has money, right? He has this fancy store, all this fancy stuff, and look at the shit in his store. There's some pretty wild stuff in there. I think there was Mandalorian armor. There was like a bunch of stuff that I saw in other places. It's like a museum thing, and that's his cover. So when Mon Mothma comes in, he's like, "Oh hi, whoa," and then he's like totally different. See here, he's like the covert operative Luthen Real, and then I think he has another name or something. And then his other persona is Mr. Flamboyant. I'm so rich, I don't give a shit about anything. Amazing. Right? And it's like, holy shit, like the complete opposite. And Skarsgård, the actor, fucking amazing. Skarsgård is a really good actor. I noticed that, what was it? In Ronin. When I saw Ronin when it came out back in, what, 90 something, 97, 98. I was like, shit, that guy's a good actor, right? Got on my radar, and now he's doing Star Wars. Awesome. Awesome. So this cast, amazing. This cast is so good, very impressive. I like I'm trying to think of something I didn't like about the show, which is insane. You guys know me. If something's bad, I'm gonna rip it to fucking pieces. You know it's gonna happen. Andor was so good at the end of every show. All right, keeping in mind that I just watched it, right? June 2025, May, June. Yeah. I watched the shows and I'm just like, holy crap. And I want to watch the next one. I want to watch the next one. They say it's binge worthy because it's good. Because you want to see more good things in your face. You want to see a good story with Star Wars. You want to see good acting. You want to see a story that makes sense. You want to see something that you're going to go, wow, I like the time that I put towards that. And now you see all this stuff with the Empire, right? And we know what's going to happen. That's the craziest shit is we know what's going to happen because we watched Rogue One, right? We know. We know they're in trouble, but we watch it anyways because we're like, how did they get there, right? Anyways, um, I can't even think of something that I didn't like that is worth mentioning, which is fucking insane. That never happens. That never happens. There's usually something that sticks out, right? Like there was a sticking point I had with the prison scene. I was like, nah. And I was like, no, that makes sense, right? They have them 12-hour shifts. I've worked 12-hour shifts, right? So that's what it feels like. It's like you fucking wake up, you get ready, you go to work, work. Oh, look, Bob's having a fucking bad day. Well, we better help Bob out, or else we're all gonna get behind. And I've worked for like big international companies that it doesn't matter what's going on, you need to get that work done because that demand is not going to stop. And what do they end up making? They're in a factory job assembling these thingamajiggers, and we don't know what they are until they show us. And then it's like, oh, look, it's fucking components for the fucking Death Star. And it's like, oh man, that's so poetic. And then he gets to do what every factory worker would love to do on a bad day. I just want to blow it all up, right? He gets to help make that happen, but it's in a good way because the Death Star's bad. In case you guys haven't found that one out, so yeah, and I was like, oh, this prison thing, but look, they're isolated. The prison units are isolated from each other. They have what, seven groups of seven. And I was like, why do they have 40, 49? But the numbers make sense. The shifts make sense. And then the guys communicating from place to place with like a sign language. And they're like, I think this is what they're saying. The only one who was mobile was like the medic. And they finally got to talk to him at one point to confirm some stuff. And then, they're like, oh, well, we got to help. We got to help out this crusty old guy because he only has a couple of days left and he's suffering, right? So they try to pull for him. He ends up dying. And then they go to the medic. They're like, does anyone ever get out? The medic's like, nope. They're like, and then there was a riot. They confirmed that there was a riot. They accidentally sent a guy back because, the Empire is full of lazy, ignorant assholes. So they sent a guy back and someone saw him. They sent him to another pod or whatever, another part of the same prison. And someone saw him and was like, hey, he's supposed to be getting out, but he didn't get out. But I mean, realistically, you could just tell people, well, I was supposed to get out. They put me back in here, right? So why didn't he just say that? But I guess maybe everybody would say that, or they just like mind wipe them with one of those probe droids what are they called? Those black floating sphere things that they zapped Leah with. Was it a probe droid? It was an interrogation droid, quote unquote, enhanced interrogation. But even though they mind wiped them with like a mind flare or I don't know, whatever, say they mind wiped them, right? But there would be things that would be noticeable, right? Like things would feel familiar. The work he's doing, if he's making the same things, he would have the muscle memory of doing those things, right? I used to be an assembler too. I've worked in industry. So like when you go away from doing the job, if you do a job for several months, right? You do assembly, and then you go away to like work on the line, and then you come back and do assembly, you warm right up. It's like riding a bike. You remember. Anyways, so yeah, I got jammed up a bit on the prison part, and I'm like, no, that actually makes sense because they could just screw people up so bad that they don't even know what's up because it's the Empire. They don't care. They just want you to do what they want. They don't care what the implications are. They don't care if it's humane. They don't care if it's the right thing. They just want you to do it because that's what they want. Right? That's the whole point. And if you don't cooperate, they build a Death Star and they blow up your planet like Alderaan. Why did they blow up Alderaan? Because there was a lot of rebels there, which they touch on in the show is the Organas. Yeah, the Leia Skywalker. That sounds weird. Leia Organa, right? Her parents, they were part of the revolution. They got her into the resistance. That's how she met her brother. You know, small universe, isn't it? Yeah, they did a little bit of smoochy smoochy when they didn't know what was up because they felt familiar, but they figured it out. Anyways, we don't need to go into that. But yeah, I don't want to jaw about this shit too much. It's awesome. All right, my rating. Oh my god. Like I'm trying to think of something that was wrong with this show. I'm trying to think. I'm like, okay, what about those rebels that were fighting when Andor got that TIE fighter thing? And it was like, no, it's totally believable. I mean, I was playing a game or something, and it was an online game, and there was a bunch of like psycho kids that I was gaming with, and they just wanted to do all this crazy shit, and I just sat back and would just listen to the crazy shit they were saying, and it reminded me of the conversations with those crazy rebels. I forget which faction they were, but they end up like shooting each other, and I'm like, that's what happened in my game. It's a very similar thing, so it makes sense. The characters make fucking sense, man, and that's the way Star Wars is supposed to be. All right. So, anyways, ah, I don't want to give it a 10 out of 10, but it's like I can't. I never give a 10 out of 10. All right, that's me. I never give a 10 out of 10. I'm trying to think of what was wrong. Even the weapons they did that guy that works for the armory in Great Britain, forget what his name is. I should probably give him a shout out, but he did they talked about the weapons, and even the weapons they use make sense. I think it was him or it was someone else. Maybe it was someone else. The weapons they use make sense, right? Like Andor had. I'm just gonna get that out of his face. That's bothering me now. Um, Andor still had the corporate pistol from when he shot the bad guy, and then what he like gives it to the guy that he broke out of prison with or something, and then that guy kept that pistol as like a memento, and it's like holy shit, man! Like everything matters in this show. Like even Cyril, like tailoring his uniform. He's going that extra mile Cyril, right? He wants to get promoted. He's ambitious. He's driven, right? He wants to get as far away from his crazy mother as he possibly can, and he wants to make her proud, right? Who doesn't? Who doesn't want to make their parents proud? Really? Come on. It's just, yeah. I'm gonna say between a 9.5 and a 10, maybe even a 10, because it was so fucking good. I want to go back and watch it again. I just tried to watch the new Predator movie that came out, and junk. I didn't like it at all. Immediately didn't like it. The animation one, I don't like it. It rubs me the wrong way right off the hop. Everyone's like, "Hey, look at me! I'm amazing! I got shit on my face, and I am the queen of this." And it's like, I don't give a shit about you. I just met you. Shut up. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care. I don't care. But these characters, they grow on in this show. They grow, even the ones that you don't like. Like, I didn't like Deirdre at all. Her fucking resting bitch face annoyed me. She's like, right? And then when she's thinking about shit, she has like an even worse bitch face. And then she's just like, well, they're all like that. They're all like, wow, wow, wow. Like they're like yappy little dogs trying to bite each other's heads off, right? And like even her boss, like out of the box ISB guy, why is he an out of the box person? Because they have to identify issues within the empire as well. So what does he have? He is creative problem solving, which is what you need in a highly organized, rigid status quo environment. That's what you need. You need somebody to think critically and creatively and to solve problems that way. And I'm like, that's ingenious. That makes complete sense to me. Plus, they had that other guy who was Mr. Status Quo, who just did everything by the book, everything, and kept his head down and tried to not get in trouble. And it was beautiful seeing how they reacted differently. Seeing the confused look, I forget his name, the bald guy, amazing, amazing the way he portrayed that guy. He was just constantly confused. Why did he look constantly confused? Because then nobody would bother him, right? Remember when Seinfeld, what's his name, Costanza, the short, fat, bald guy with glasses that was always freaking out about shit. He's like, if you just look like you're really thinking about something, nobody bothers you, and he's right. Right? It's like, oh, I'm on something. Don't bother me. I'm thinking something through. And people don't want you to take their day out on him. He's already busy, and he was a higher up guy, anyways. Oh, I forget his name. Shit, like just epic performances from everyone in this show. Every single character, even the background people did a good job. I went back and I watched what some of the background people were doing, just the way they were moving, the way they were walking. They had the townspeople where Andor's from, and it was like, they ring that bell thing, and then people are just like, oh, the day's over. Oh my God, and they're just kind of slow walking with heavy legs because they were working at a scrapyard or something, right? And they're just walking. They're just like, oh, they're hanging up their gloves. Oh yeah, buddy. Oh, see you tomorrow, man. Good job. Blah blah blah. Right? And then the way that people were moving, the body language was spot on. Like I cannot think of a single thing that was done wrong. Even the fact like K2SO, the droid, you know, um, yeah, I guess I'll just end up on this part because it's already a long fucking video. But so they're on this other town. What was that? Gorman? I think it was Gorman. And shit hits the fan, right? Robots, fucking killer robots are being sent out. Like that's scary shit. And they're shooting at the K series, KX series droids. They're security droid, quote unquote. Yeah, they got no problem shooting people. They're smacking people, throwing them, breaking them, killing them, no problem. They don't give a shit. They're fucking Terminators, right? Essentially. And he's shooting at one. He's shooting at K2SO, right? He's like, bah, 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 and his pistol's just, it doesn't have to kick, right? And then this kid drives an APC into the KX droid, which is later K2SO, right? Yeah. And he gets out of there, and you notice he's the one that got fucking Simta killed. Spoiler alert. Whatever, go watch the fucking show already. Got her killed. One of their best. They're fucking they're ninja Their ninja infiltrator killer, right? Like she's cold as ice. He accidentally shot her and killed her. Why was she not wearing body armor? I don't know. That part bothered me a bit. I was like, I think she would wear a little bit of body armor. I think you could weave that into your Gorman shirt. Just something light so you don't die from a torso hit. That was something I thought was a little off. But then you'd have to explain, why are you wearing armor? Are you expecting to get into a fight because they are on a fucking Empire thing? I'd wear a fucking vest. I'd be like, shit, man. You never know. Maybe I'm being overly cautious. I don't know. I don't have any weapons, right? Like, there's ways you could talk your way out of it. Anyways, so the point was that kid who drove the APC that saved Andor was the same kid that accidentally shot Cinta. And when he shot Cinta, things went through my mind. I'm like, what are they going to do about that? Because that kid just fucking killed one of their operatives because he was stupid repeatedly and didn't listen. But it made perfect sense with his character. It made perfect sense with his experience. He was green. He was trying to be a hero. It was all about his personality. He was the one out there selling the spiders. Hey, look, I'm so slick. Look at me. I'm part of the resistance, right? He got a little high on himself. He got a little narcissistic. His ego started creeping in. He thought he was better than he was, right? And then someone else died because of it. So, I mean, you could see Andor when that happened. He's just like, what am I going to do about this? Well, he needs that resistance cell to move forward. He can't just, take this kid out. Maybe something could have happened to that kid later. Maybe whatever, you know, but he didn't. They just kind of went, fuck, you know, that just happened. And then it's your fault, shithead. You weren't supposed to have a blaster. You're not supposed to be waving it around. You fucked up and you got one of our people killed. And then he turned into someone who got shit done. Instead of freaking out, he ran into the fucking KX droid and saved Andor's life. So it was like him sparing that kid's life essentially allowed that kid to save Andor's life. So there's just like these cyclical interactions between the characters. I think that's one of the most important things. It's not just linear transactional, it's cyclical. Like people are doing things, they're like, I'm going to do this for you, and then you're going to do this for me. I'm going to do this for you, you're going to do this for me. And you're going to do this for me, and then I'm going to do this for you. And when people break that chain, like the guy who wanted to steal the money from the heist, again, if you haven't seen it, go fucking watch it right now. Um, yeah, the guy's like, oh yeah, it's like 80 million, man. Split it half and half, 40 million, 40 million. Let's just fucking take it, man. Let's just take it. And then Andor's like, oh shit, 40 million in Star Wars money? That's like you could buy yourself a fucking Star Destroyer for that kind of money, man. Probably. I don't know. I don't know how much of those things worth. Like, fuck, you could buy yourself an army. You could buy yourself a planet, dude. And Andor, he's in. He's in for the mission at that point. He's in for the ideology. And he smokes the prisoner guy because he was a prisoner, a convict guy, and he smokes him. And he's like, "Oh, where's Buddy? I just smoke him. He was gonna steal your money." And they believe him because they can see that he's all in. Like the way the character development on Andor was just fucking beautiful. He goes from a scumbag you barely give a shit about that you're like, that guy's a fucking loser, man. Now, let's see what happens to this loser. Like, seriously, that's where I started off in this whole thing. I'm like, oh my God, Andor's such a loser in this show. Look at him running around, getting in trouble. Now he fucking killed a guy. Now he's in deep trouble. I kind of forgot about Rogue One. I forgot that I had already watched the show. I was just like, whatever. I'll just take it as it is. Beautiful. Amazing. Top notch performances. Top notch writing. Everyone who put this together, I salute you. This is the way.